Welcome to Boston, where the world's oldest annual marathon continues its tradition of sending thousands of runners on a trek from Hopkinton to Boylston Street. And in 2025, the champions will return to defend their titles. Ethiopia's Sisse Lema scorched the course last year, leading the entire way to win his first Boston crown. While on the women's side, Helen Obiri of Kenya tasted victory for the second consecutive year and now sets her sights on becoming the first woman to win 3 straight titles in 26 years. Get ready for race day. It's the 129th edition of the Boston Marathon. Welcome to historic Boston, Massachusetts in the United States. 250th Patriots Day, which is the traditional home of the oldest annually contested marathon in the globe, and the elite racers will eventually work their way down to one of the most famous finish lines in the sport on Boylston Street. It is the 2025 Boston Marathon, the 129th edition, presented by Bank of America. Hi everybody, I'm Paul Swangard, joined by 2-time Olympian Kara Goucher, herself a 3-time finisher of Boston, and the walkout under pretty good conditions here. Weather looking good for these elite men, and as they gather, this walkout surrounded by young students of all ages here supporting them on their way to the start line. As we look at the headlines today, Kara mentioned this Patriots Day and also marking the 50th anniversary of the first men's wheelchair division in this race, but we're about to see these elite men and women get out on the course, and those fields are deep on this very special day in Boston.
Not only are they deep, they're deep with athletes who know this course so well and know the intricacies and the challenges of it. We have some great races ahead, Paul.
All 4 defending champions from 2024 are here.
To the prairies.
As we look at the scene in Hopkinton, about 5 minutes away from the start of the professional men's start, the wheelchair racers are out on the course already, and already we have seen speed and an ability to get out and ahead of the rest of the field, none more so than on the men's side, where Marcel Hug of Switzerland, the 39-year-old, known as the Silver Bullet, has broken away from American Daniel Romanchuk and has the lead, trying to win his 8th Boston crown.
Well, he really
Paralympic Games is also among the leaders as well. But our attention now returns to Hopkinton as we get set for the men's elite racing and the introductions of some of our top competitors going into this race day.
All the way to the line.
Such a great scene here, and Kara, you've been on this start line before. What are these final moments of reflection like?
You know, you're just reminding yourself of the work you've done to be there, and you're excited. You want to hear that gun go off so that all the hard work you've done, you can just put it into play and get out there and execute. That is, honestly, Paul, this is the fun part, is going out and racing.
That was American Clayton Young, one of the top Americans in the field. Top finishers for Team USA at the Paris Olympic Games.
All righty, ladies and gentlemen.
As we now check in with the
announcer
announcer at the start line, as we'll have introductions of some of our top competitors here in Boston.
For 2 hours. It's really remarkable. At this time, let's meet a few members of our professional men's field. From Utah, he was 2nd at the U.S. Olympic Trials Marathon last year, and then 9th at the Olympic Marathon. Running in his first Boston Marathon, Clayton Young. Also from Utah, he won the U.S. Olympics Trials Marathon in 2024, and then went on to 8th at the Olympic Marathon and 6th at the New York City Marathon. Welcome back, Connor Mantz. From Kenya, he's a 2-time Boston Marathon champ. From 2022 and 2023, also the 2022 New York City Marathon champion. Welcome back, Evans Chabets. And finally, from Ethiopia, he ran to a dominant 2 hours, 6 minutes, 17-second victory last year. The world's 4th fastest marathoner of all time, Sisai Lima.
And serving as our honorary starter for the professional men's division is Mark Bauman from Michigan.
Well, a special moment there for Sisai Lima, who gets to have his first name on his bib, and that is only reserved for those who have won this race previously. And he's got Evans Chabet and John Korir, who's got a relationship and a connection to a previous winner. We'll talk about that as we get on the race course. And Connor Mantz among a slew of top Americans who are going to try to race to victory here. And just like that, we are underway on the streets of Hopkinton.
Runners in the world make their way east
42+ kilometers
to Boston,
will lead
and
them
Mark
all
will be
the way
joining
into the
them
heart of Boston here in the
just a little bit.
2025
Thank you, Mark.
Boston Marathon.
Well, we saw American Connor Mantz get off that start line very, very quick. These early stages of the Boston Marathon are difficult because you really want to hold back a little bit, but you're so excited to get this race underway. So we see him in front right now. I think he will eventually slow down a little bit and tuck in, but it's hard not to just let it all go because you've been counting down to this day for so long.
Well, in many previous editions, including last year, we've also seen men take to a very hard run, early speed, get away from the rest of the field strategy, and that paid dividends for Sisai Lima last year as he was able to hold off a charging group. He was fading towards the end, but didn't fade enough to not pick up the victory.
Well, Lema ran that perfectly last year. If you were going to try to steal the win at Boston early on, you have to fully dedicate to it, and he certainly did that, and it was worth it. He ended up Boston Marathon champion, and he will be for life.
And these two Americans up front are training partners, Clayton Young and Connor Mantz. Special connection for those two, and both probably very much cheering for each other, though if they get to the later stages of this race, it'll be mano a mano. They'll want to finish as high as they can. The Australian Patrick Tiernan, we heard a lot about his fitness and his confidence coming into this race as well.
Yeah, and right behind them too is Canada's Rory Linkletter. So these men are excited to get out there, get this race going. It's early on. We see it kind of stretched out. We see a lot of the favorites back a little bit because they know it's early on. But if Connor Mantz continues to press like this, they will respond. They know from last year they cannot let someone break away and run away with this title.
And Carrie, you've experienced this downhill, and people who have even just run downhill in their own runs know that it just carries you downward. But what damage can you do to the rest of the race if you're not managing that correctly?
Well, this is just shredding their quads, right, Paul? So you have to be really thoughtful about how you run these first 10 miles because it really builds up on your quads. Then, of course, the climbing begins. But once that's all over, you have the 5-mile slightly downhill run back into downtown Boston. So you really have to think in the Boston Marathon and strategize correctly of how do you want your body to feel on those last 5 miles, and you can kind of cost yourself later in the race if you go too hard in the beginning here.
So as they get through their first kilometer and that, we'll call it gentle downhill, but I'm not sure if it was gentle on your quads. Now that you describe it, I'm just feeling a little fatigued after even thinking about that. Let's talk about this entire course in totality, and really a unique setup here. And what makes this thing so special is it's point to point, starting in Hopkinton and going all the way into Boston.
And it has so many challenges along the way. As we've just been discussing, the beginning stages of the Boston Marathon are rolling downhill.
But you get a lot of support along the way, including that near halfway mark where the Scream Tunnel arrives at Wellesley College.
And we'll see people pick up the pace there. It's hard not to when you hear the cheers, but shortly after that is when the climbing begins. And this is where you really have to focus because you know you have a good 4 to 5 miles of climbing ahead of you.
Yeah, the warm-up hill only sets the stage, right?
Absolutely, and after each hill there is a flat period where you can recover a little bit, but you really have to keep your eyes up and focus through this stage.
And then up to the famous Heartbreak Hill, but for most, not heartbreak, because they can overcome that, and then they start to see Boston out in the distance on to Beacon Street, past the legendary Sitco sign, which is a little bit more than a mile away from the finish line, and then two of the most famous turns in all of the sport.
Absolutely. Right on Hereford, left on Boylston. Ask any Boston runner. We know these two turns. The last 600 meters down Boylston Street with crowds so deep you can't even imagine.
And that famous finish line by the Boston Public Library and Copley Square, and that is the motivation for these athletes that are now on the course. It is a long way away in the context of the racing to come, but a solid group now in this lead pack that was pushed forward early by Rory Linkletter, Patrick Tiernan, Connor Mantz. As we get settled into the early kilometers of racing here in Boston.
And you know, Paul, in these beginning stages of Boston as well, it's really important to try to run the tangents. The shortest distance between 2 points is a line, and there are so many turns in this beginning part. Yes, it's a straight shot, but the road is curving, so you might see athletes kind of look like they're running alone because they're trying to maintain the tangent.
Listen in.
Spend, you know, 3/4 of a mile to a mile up at the front before they pull off.
Men in for the last, I don't know, 6 minutes into this race. So off they go. They went through the first mile. I said the first mile was going to be less than 4:34. David Monty, 4:30. Oh, the undertakes it. So close, but that's still very quick. It's the most comfortable 4:32 mile that any of them will win. Our man with the men's elite runners this morning is WCVB's Josh Brogadier. Man knows the route, he knows the race. Josh, give us some first impressions from the road as we welcome you in for the first time this morning.
Well, John, thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here. This is my 16th time covering Boston, my third in the best seat in the house. And my seat right now shows me Connor Mantz out in front, along with Rory Linkletter, his buddy Clayton Young not too far behind, and also Patrick Tiernan. What does that tell me? They want to get a head start to try to make sure they are there at the end of this race and setting the pace. Sasai Lema, he is farther behind right now. He told us the other day, I was way out in front. I went for all the downhills in my first win. This time, I'm going to be with the group. He has a different strategy. Maybe that surprises some people. It really shouldn't. A different strategy can still be the win. You take it as it comes, and I'm thrilled to be here with all of you. John.
Thank you, Josh. Good to have you out there and keep track of Sasai Lema. That's good for Josh, too. He'll get to see everybody this time because, you know, at 5K last time, Lema took off and Josh was just riding. He was a one-man guy. And now he gets a chance to look at the entire field. We're going to look at the women's field because they're coming up here in just a couple of minutes. And much like Sasai Lema is where you start, we start with the defending champ here, Helen O'Beary, not because she's won once, because she's won twice and 3 in a row. Well, that's history here.
And she seems super loose, but I think the thing is this time she's coming into this race without any races since this past summer where she was third at the Olympic Games. I mean, look at the joy that she had. You could see her family. We're all getting to know her daughter really well, Tanya. She is everywhere, and she is very excited for her mom. But I really think that the pressure for her seems like it would be really high this year with being one of those other 4 women that have won 3 in a row, but she doesn't seem like that. Her coach, Jason Ritzenheim, told me she is fitter than she's ever been, so look out. But Amane Bariso, we have to talk about her. She's
another world champ?
Yeah, another world champ. She's the fastest in the field. Look at that, 2:14. I mean, her PR is so fast that you have to have her in conversation. And guess what? She was runner-up here in 2023, so she knows the course. Sharon Lokedi, runner-up from last year. I really like Sharon. She knows how to race on technical courses, which this is. She's coming here with a new personal best from the NYC half just a few weeks ago. So really excited for her. And Kira D'Amato, this is really that course that sort of set her up. She ran here in 2018. She came and raced and sort of kicked off her professional career here again. And she just is a joy to watch. And I think that we're going to see some great things from her today, too.
Out at the start line as the women get ready for their race. You mentioned
A little less than 1 minute to go.
The fastest PR in the field.
Yeah.
And it doesn't belong to Helen O'Beary. She's got the 11th fastest time. What is it about her? Right, because you're not even close to the fastest time, and yet what is it about her as a competitor, or what does it say about her as a racer that she has had all this success?
Well, I think what I really like about her is that she's so confident in her kick, that she was great on the track, she's great on the roads, and she knows what her talent is, and that's just to sit, hang on, and outkick everybody.
There's Des Linden on the line for the last time, mentioned that she is retiring from competitive marathoning after this race. We'll take some time to give Dez's great career some perspective, but first we got to get this race underway.
And there they go. 2025 Professional Women's Division is heading east. Patty Hung will be chasing them.
What a great description of the course there by the PA announcer. I know Ed Harding had a wonderful, he took us through every town and, you know, great course map that he went through. But really, here's what you need to know. Head east. Okay? When you get to the line and all the people, then you can stop.
Hurry up and get here.
Yes. There you go.
Well, we have such a great field. Irene Cheptai, I mean, this woman is actually someone that I think doesn't get enough attention. You know, she was third at the Chicago Marathon this year, and just really kind of lying underneath the, I don't know, the radar in such a nice way that she can just go and run her race. Edna Kiplagat, look at that. Still here and runs so well on this course. So a lot of people say if they can run with Edna or Des, they know they're going to have a great day. And can we just give a big shout out quick to Des again? She did mention this is going to be her last 26.2. But people, she's still talking about running even longer. So we're going to see her even longer out there. She's going to do the ultras, I think a 50-miler next fall already.
I don't think we have to be quick when we talk about Des. I think we should say that she's run 12 times at this race, and that this is where she ran her first marathon, and she loves this town, and she's been such a great supporter of races for the BAA, as is the Boston Athletic Association been for her, and she won this race in 2018, and I don't know that we should just zip through her, right? Their perspective of her career, she really Olympic, she's one of the defining members of a generation that she ran it.
She is a legend. And you know what else that we love about Des Linden is that she gives back to the younger generation of runners. She's constantly looking out for them. I mean, she wears a lot of hats. She's not an agent, but she probably could be. She's now putting on races. She has her podcast with Kara Goucher. I mean, she's just doing a lot for the sport. And so, yeah, I'm just big ups to her for everything that she does. And I'm going to miss her over 26.2.
Some flowers for Des Linden, who also has the laurel wreath for winning this. And all four races now, the four main races are professionally out on the course, and then the four waves of the people are still to come, right? The races are out front. The marathon is in the back. There's Connor Mantz. He's there early. Will he be there late? Last American to win this race, Meb Keflezighi, in 2014. So we'll keep an eye on those things here. A lot of running to be had. Actually, a lot of running to go, and then they'll eventually get to the racing as we go back to Maria, Ed, and Hannah.
And John, you mentioned it, Ed's fabulous piece. So here you go, America, the iconic Boston Marathon course as it snakes through those 8 cities. And
it's at Route 135 in Hopkinton, a quaint, historic town west of Boston, established in 1715. Runners start at the town common, 26.2 miles from the heart of Boston's Copley Square. The downhill start takes you into Ashland, and by the time you hit Framingham and then Natick, runners begin to separate. And as you approach Wellesley, they encounter a tradition that's been around for decades. It's called the Scream Tunnel at Wellesley College, where screams are deafening and kisses are no surprise. This energetic spot marks the halfway point. Route 16 takes you right into Newton Lower Falls, and immediately as you come out of the falls, a warm-up hill. It's a warning of what's to come. Heading toward Commonwealth Avenue, runners make that right turn at the Newton Fire Station, and staring you right in the face, the first of 3 inclines, collectively known as Heartbreak Hill. Survive that, and you'll see the run through beautiful Boston College, hit Cleveland Circle, be careful of the trolley tracks, and then turn left onto Beacon Street in Brookline. Next up, Kenmore Square, where if you look to the right, you'll see Fenway Park. Soon after, that Citgo sign is right in your face, a welcome sight as runners realize they have just over a mile to go. The last stretch on Commonwealth Avenue, we say Com Ave here in Boston, and it's right onto Hereford, left onto Boylston, and then the final charge. 4 blocks to the finish line of the world's most famous marathon.
26.2 miles and only 5 turns the whole time.
And it all ends up right now, and then all 4 races on the Boston Marathon course right now. Back to John Anderson as we take a look at the women's professional field. John?
Thank you, Hannah. Big pack of runners. A year ago, they had, 15 or 16 all the way through the first half, up through 20 miles before they finally got to 23. Yeah, still a lot of precincts that have not reported. Meb?
You know, it's a great race going on here. Downhill start, obviously, 4:32 first mile, 4:38 second mile, 4:44. And they're under 14:25K, so they've been patient, but at the same time, they're using their energy as efficient as they can at this point.
12 seconds faster than race pace through that 5K, and at 5K last year is when Lemma took off, and the women's professional race, Carrie, yeah, we're still undecided there.
Well, we are very undecided, very slow at the beginning here. 5:46 through that first mile. Now they're heading into that second, third mile here just to see where people are. But guess what? All of the big dogs sitting in the back. They're waiting, 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 and that is exactly what.
There's the professional men's field as they're working around some traffic.
You know, John, you were talking about Patrick Tiernan. He's part of this great group at Puma led by Alistair and Amy Craig, and just having a phenomenal year, that group and that synergy. I heard he wanted to be up front. He wanted to stay out of traffic and be up there. It looks great.
And there's the women's race. Again, as you said, the ones that we would expect to be the contenders are more than happy and content to right now let others take the lead. WCVB's Alexis Beckett is on the course for the first time with our marathon team. We've put her in charge of those women's elite field and history because Helen O'Beary is going for a 3rd straight win. Alexis, give us your view here from up front this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. I'm so excited to be here about 2 miles in, and I just can't believe that I truly do get the best seat in the house. To start, the American women were mostly leading the pack for about a mile, and then we had Ramatusa and we had Amani Bariso come up and make a huge difference in the way that this front pack looks. And like you said, Helen O'Beary, Carrie talked about the pressure that's on her. I asked Helen, how much pressure is it? And she said, look, it's definitely there, but like she said, I am so confident in my training. You see, she's tucked away here in the back, but that's not anything to be unexpected. So we'll keep you updated. I'll send it back to you guys at the finish line.
All right, thank you, Alexis. She'll be right there, right along till about the last half mile when she's finally got to get out of the way and let them chase down Boylston Street. Women, 2nd mile, go through at 5:23. Those first couple of miles always a little quicker because it's kind of a rolling, gentle downhill. And now you go back and get ready for that first wave of runners. There are 4 waves of runners. Those people have all trained.
30 seconds to go. This will be the last announcement.
Got to be quick to get in this field. There are some time limits. Got to, if you're 18 to 30, I got to run less sub 3 hour just to qualify for this thing. So the champion is not in that group, right? But everybody there has a bib and they get the experience to run the great Boston Marathon.
Yeah, I mean, it is a wonderful marathon. It's a wonderful atmosphere, and I think everybody just is so jazzed up. It gets them through their winter, actually.
And there they go, wave 1, some 8,000 plus taking off from the start line. Here it's a fast downhill.
I guarantee you,
might want to save a little.
1897, a dude did not shoot a selfie of himself as he took off running down there.
Mab's getting some ideas for next year.
Kids, put your phones down, man. Even if you're running a marathon. I guess maybe flip
make
it
the
over
headline. Yeah, I'd pull a hammy if I did that.
But Meb, you've run somewhere you've just been with, you've paced different people. Have you ever stopped on the course and taken a selfie with people?
I have not stopped and take a selfie on the course, but I have run among the great people of racing, or it's great to be among them, to be able to just share stories, and they do come next to me and take a selfie.
I was going to say, that's on the course. How about just walking through town, how many times you take them?
That's 1,000 times.
I always wonder, though, if Meb stops and gives kisses at Wellesley.
You could, for
that
sure.
I didn't.
You did, no.
Men are through 5 miles. They've run 23:14 through the first 5 miles as these guys are just getting started. Rip the shirt, how cliche. By the way, did you catch early on there was a guy in a banana suit?
Oh,
Did you
yeah.
see him? Yeah,
Oh,
there
you're
was
going
a
to see all kinds
Chiquito
of
in the
things
back.
today.
Wheelchair, wheelchair, men's professional, women's professional. Great stuff, great racing. Right now, everybody's kind of running. We'll get into the racing as they get deeper into this course as we go back up to Ed, Maria, and Hannah.
Runners can look up to, but you know, whether it was the journey people were having a few years ago, just trying to find ways to stay healthy during the pandemic, or finding an opportunity to invest in their own personal health and wellness, these races have really become a celebration.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, all of these athletes that we're watching right now work so hard to be here, whether it was through fundraising or qualifying through the Boston Standards, getting their BQ. So everyone who's here deserves to be here, had to work hard to be here. And then they get to be here, a part of this huge history in our sport, and participate on Marathon Monday.
128 countries, all 50 U.S. states, 30,000 runners on their way to Boston. Wave one of the Boston Marathon has been let out onto the course as they will follow in the footsteps of these 4 professional divisions, and different races unfolding in those 4 quadrants. Solo effort right now by Marcel Hoog, trying to win his 8th Boston Marathon of the men's wheelchair division. Susanna Scaroni, Katerin De Bruyne, and Manuela Schar, that trio here at the 54-minute mark in the women's wheelchair and the men's and women's professional races.
Right. Person to ever do a wheelchair marathon. So he is, I don't know how we can really get a grasp on what he did. You know, Frank Shorter led the way for everybody in our country and worldwide with his gold medal victory in Munich. And we all saw it, and it changed our country. And I think it motivated people to say, you know what, this guy, this American took a gold medal. I'm going to get out the door too and try it. And so that's what I did. And Bob was kind of like the Frank Shorter of wheelchair racing, you know, a gold medalist, you know, in his mind and everything. So that's what the Boston Marathon is really about. It's always a record-breaking, doing things that other marathons didn't do or couldn't do because of its history with the Boston Athletic Association. This is about history here in Boston.
Well, you are a seminal figure, not just in Boston, but in marathon.
Runyon to send the para
Gun
division
was fired
off
by
to Boston,
American
heading east,
Olympian
26.2
Marla
miles.
Runyon, who competed both in para-athletics as well as able-bodied athletics as well. Actually trained in the town I live in Eugene, Oregon for many years. Got to know her very well and really has continued to inspire and motivate. Olympic champion Joaquin Cruz is actually a member of the U.S. coaching for para-sport as well, and had an opportunity to call many of the races in Paris in para-athletics last summer. And, you know, a lot of these athletes don't necessarily want to see themselves as inspirational. They just want to be treated and seen as athletes, and being part of this Boston Marathon and racing for prize money does just that.
Absolutely, they are athletes, and they're incredible, and they're just here to come and race and compete.
Well, incredible the number of men we see here in this lead pack in a race that is under course record speed. You know, and we've talked about it in the last several years, Kara. There has been innovation, and, you know, training has changed. And speed has been brought to these races, and it's no surprise that we're seeing a very fast early pace to this race.
Well, I think too, with Lemma taking the lead, everybody knows he can maintain this. He can run away with it. He proved that last year. So when he moves to the front and pushes, you know, I talked to Connor Mantz, who's in second right now. He said, I'm not going to let anyone go. And Lemma did say at the press conference that he was going to have a different strategy this year, but it looks like it's similar. But the pack is taking him seriously this year because last year they let him go and they were never able to run him down. So he is just really pulling these athletes now. They were out quick already, but now they have Lemma out front really pulling this, and they are well under course record pace. We'll see if that continues, but very fast beginning stages of the Boston Marathon today.
Well, I don't know if it was because he's running so fast, but John Korir has no bib on the front of his singlet, so wanted to point out that he is the one that maybe is not as easily identified. He is in the white now, just coming into picture here as part of that lead group, and we talked about his connection to the history of the Boston Marathon. He is the younger brother of 2012 champion Wesley Korir, so probably got some good stead advice and motivation of having the chance to run in the footsteps of family.
Absolutely, and he's run well here before, but he is coming off winning the Chicago Marathon in the fall and being the second fastest man ever on that course. So his confidence is as high as it could be. He has great information from his brother. I mean, what, you couldn't ask for a better mentor than your older brother to tell you how to run the Boston course. I was able to talk to him at this press conference, and he is very confident. We see him now tucked in behind American Connor Mantz.
And Kara, just coming in and out of picture, you see on the far right of your screen, Mukhtar Edris, who's making his marathon debut. What a place to do that. Prolific and successful runner on the track, as many of these men were before they made the transitions to the roads. And he's kind of one of those intriguing, you know, subplots to the racing today.
Absolutely. 2017 and 2019 world champion in the 5,000 meters. So a shorter distance event, but a shorter distance event. And a very interesting choice for him to choose Boston as his marathon debut. Definitely want to keep our eyes on him.
Always struck when I'm walking out on the streets of Boston with Kara Goucher as you get intercepted by so many people who want to talk to you about your experiences here. What is the one piece of advice you give to someone who would run Boston for the first time?
The opposite of what the men are doing right now. I always tell everyone to really contain yourself for those first 6 miles because it's so easy to go out a little bit too hard. But these men are prepared. You know, most of these men have been here before. And they're prepared. They know that it could be a very fast race, and they're all racing the way that they think gives them the best chance of winning. And for Cisse Lemma, that is to take the lead and to press.
Look at the difference in the arm carry here, too. We noted that from Lemma last year, where he just keeps it tucked in, and Connor Mantz in full swing.
Connor Mantz, I got to tell you, he always looks like he's all out, you know? And when he was younger, I wasn't sure how that would translate to the marathon, but it's translated just fine. That's just how he is. He really goes full flight, uses his arms on every stride. He's just powerful and such an aerobic engine. He's able to do that for the full distance.
Well, there's lots of ways to follow the racers from Hopkinton into Boston. Watching our coverage here certainly is appreciated, but the BAA Racing app presented by Tata Consultancy Services is available in the App Store and on Google Play. Download to track your favorite athletes from start to finish along the race route. You can also view leaderboards, see course maps, and so much more. Search BAA Racing app and download it to complement your viewing experience today. All right, back and a look at the 4 races here in the men's wheelchair division. Marcel Hug continues to lead. Scaroni on the women's side. Women's professional race now 26 minutes in. And the men about 10 minutes in front. Carrizo leading that women's professional field, who we talked about in the introductions here among the favorites on the women's side, and for good reason. The 33-year-old from Ethiopia, 5th just off the podium in Paris, but her 3rd appearance here and the reigning world champion. We are in a world championship year. Those races are part of the Abbott World Marathon Majors, so they'll be back in Tokyo. But on a very warm day in a race that you and I called, Kara Goucher, Carrizo outlasted the field in Budapest.
She has a lot of tools in her belt, Paul. She can run fast. She's the 5th fastest woman of all time. She can run in the hot and humid conditions that she did in Budapest, and she's been on the podium here in Boston. So she has a lot of skills under her belt, and she's going to be trying to use them appropriately and when necessary here today.
Similar sized lead groups here on the men's and women's side at the top of your screen, and similar sized lead groups on the men's and women's wheelchair on the bottom of your screen as they're now solo efforts. Women's wheelchair has now come through 30 kilometers. We should get that split for you here in a moment. We'll be able to tell you the difference now in first, second, third, and fourth, as that women's wheelchair was really a quartet for so much of the racing that we've had so far today, whereas Marcel Hoog was with Daniel Romanchuk for a stretch of the race, but now Hoog seemingly in total control. But are you surprised at all to see Scaroni having broken away from the field?
I am a little bit. I mean, this is an incredible field.
There's somebody I can chase.
Just somebody to chase, whether you're racing against them or not. Someone that you can catch, absolutely.
Women's pack carry, there you go. Roma Tusa's out there. Helen O'Beary, her gait is great because you can tell where Helen is when she runs.
Well,
they weren't there early, but they're all there now.
They're all together now, all the names, everybody's looking around. But I will have to say, Tusa, the one that is leading, she's coming off of a wonderful PB in the personal best, personal record, however you say it, at Houston this year, where she ran the half marathon really well. And so she has this confidence, but she hasn't quite run that marathon that's really been real flashy yet. So I think that this is really a big move for her to get her name out there, to get her confidence up there, and we'll see how she can handle it. But one woman we haven't seen touch the lead. She's been back in 8th, 9th. She's way on the right side there behind the motorcycle. That's Sharon Lokedi.
Yep.
I just love how this woman races. Listen, the worst that she's finished, I think, is 4th at the Olympic Games. I mean, you know, she did come into New York. She did have a good New York this year, but she had so many great races last year, and she too was an alternate at Paris, led in the final miles and ended up being 4th. But I really like Sharon Lokedi. I'm going to talk about her a lot because she was runner-up from last year. You gotta give her that attention.
Yeah, a couple of times she's been in really good battles with Helen O'Beary, but Helen's gotten her here both times.
Yep.
Riso is tucked back. Marathons in the calendar year. A lot of people come to Houston to just kind of get a sense of their fitness going into the rest of the season, and that runner-up finish in Sydney.
Well, this is a Boston debut for Tusa, so of course she studied the course, but she hasn't felt it before. It is funny to see Helen O'Beary so visible. She usually, the past couple Bostons, we saw her tucked in a little bit, but people know who Helen is. They can't let her get away, and I feel like a lot of people have shifted.
How many people in this pack, John?
Yep, had a great college career at the University of New Mexico, won a national championship there in cross country for Joe Franklin's team. Take a look at the men's race. Clayton Young's right there, got his shades on. He's in the middle. He doesn't have the magic shades like the Bachelor does. Those are just regular ones when he comes through. Lemma still out in front. Just this time he's got way more company than he had a year ago. Tiernan. Meb, that's a pack. How am I? And it's early in the race. I'm gauging other people around me.
On road, she's truly incredible, once in a generation type athlete of talent level.
Well, you see Amani Bariso of Ethiopia insert some pace here. They're coming into a station here, and sometimes we see that just as they want to try to create some space. How critical is it to get all those fluid bottles during the race?
Oh, it's very important, especially at Boston with what's coming, the climbing. So the early bottles are very, very important here in Boston. And we often see what looks like moves being made around the water stations. And it's really just people trying to make sure they have space to grab their fluids, grab their nutrition, because it's super important here at Boston to make sure you're getting that, especially in the first half.
This is some time where you actually will see athletes that are either in the same training groups or same countries. If there's a missed bottle or something, they'll actually share that bottle and share that fluid. So important to keep an eye on these portions of the race. Not so much for the separation that occurs, but just making sure that everyone got to their bottle, as those things are critical in keeping the fueling the way that they want it to be. They have come into these, and you see the men also grabbing theirs as well. Edris with some deliberateness there as he grabs his bottle, as the men have now a lap through the 15-kilometer mark of the race, coming through in 43:28.
And notice, Paul, how on the right of our screen, he might come into picture. Connor Mantz went straight to run the tangent of this course. He is not going to run an extra step. So you see him there all the way on the right side of the screen, running that tangent and making sure he doesn't run a single extra step that he does not have to today.
Official split at 15 kilometers for Lema was 43:28. Ran 42:43 last year, which at the time was a course record. So things fast here in the early going on the men's side. And that is a challenge that the Americans at this point are willing to accept, or at least Connor Mantz and Clayton Young are the two Americans in this lead group. And we talked about them being training partners, but they have been linked for a while now. And Connor Mantz, success at Brigham Young University, now 28 years of age. Has that experience in Boston, but kind of came out that first Boston experience saying that he was a little disappointed with his effort.
He was disappointed. I talked to him about that. He said he learned so much from that race, including we just saw him take his nutrition, how important nutrition was early on. You know, I thought he was going to tell me the pacing and reading the course, but one of the biggest lessons for him was how important nutrition is at the Boston Marathon. A lot of pressure on Connor Mantz to be the next great American marathoner. I think he's already answered that by winning the Olympic trials, placing 6th in New York, placing 8th in the Olympic Games. But for him to arrive, he wants to be on that podium.
So this league group has about 17 seconds on the second group that's trying to chase. As you see back, you can really see now they have put some distance between them and the rest of the field. Now it becomes a survival game. Just stay with this group as long as possible. But again, reminder that they are racing on course record pace right now, which has stood since 2011 when Jeffrey Mutai ran this race in 2 hours, 3 minutes, and 2 seconds. That time no longer seems as incredible, but at the time.
Oh, I was in that race that day, Paul, and our minds were blown by that time. And to think that they're under that pace right now, it's truly, truly incredible.
Berry there, Veriso, Cheptai, Indiwa, Cheptu, Sharon Loketti. It's a good group. It's a big group. And Alexis Beckett is out there following them. She's going to have us. Well, I love my seat here, Alexis, to sit and watch them, but I feel like you have really the best view of any of us. What are you seeing?
Yeah, that's what it feels like. Like you said, Tusa has been in front. Her and Amani Bariso have been kind of trading back and forth for the first spot. But for the past 6 or so miles, it's been this pack that you see right here. Helen O'Berry has been staying in the top 3. But like I said, it's been Tusa and Amani Bariso. Amani coming off of 5th at the Olympics. She was disappointed in that. She told me, she said, you race to win, and that's what she wants to do here today. I'll send it back to you guys at the finish line.
Thank you, Alexis. Trying to look through in that pack to see Yelemzer Fiahalo. Won the London Marathon in 2022. She was the champ. Annie Frisbee.
Anniversary of the very first men's wheelchair division. It is another title for the Silver Bullet. Marcel Hoog wins in Boston.
What a legacy he's creating for himself, and he's just pushing this next generation of wheelchair racers. We got to see him really just absorb and enjoy that as he came across the finish line.
And as tradition, the bells chime here on Boylston Street, announcing the arrival of our first champion.
On the 50th anniversary, to have you also on your
Such a great
10-year
leader
anniversary,
for this
right?
organization of the BAA
It's still,
and the
just
Boston
started,
Marathon.
Just started. Very proud of you.
Oh, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you for everything.
Thanks for being a great champion.
Such a great experience.
Awesome. Awesome.
Just how impressive it is that he went out there and raced the Boston Marathon.
So our first champion crowned in 2025, but there is more championship racing to come here. The men's and women's professional fields out on the course as they work their way to Boston. So Sisse Lema, the 2024 champion on the men's side, up there with Australian Patrick Tiernan, American Connor Mantz. Mukhtar Edris in his marathon debut. And Ramatusa of Ethiopia leads this women's race. Amani Bariso behind her, and the two-time defending champion, Helen O'Beary. Sharon Lokedi is up in that lead group as well.
Paul, this men's race went out blazing fast, but they have settled down now. You saw sort of the pack was completely strung out. Now they've regrouped a little bit, slowed down a little bit, where the women's race was slow to begin, and then they really started picking it up, and we saw a separation there. So we have two definitive lead packs on both the men's and the women's side.
So as these racers continue out on the course, back to Boylston Street in a moment as we expect to have our second. So the men here, as they close in on the 20-kilometer mark, will await that next split as we've seen them stay under course record pace here in the early going. Now Patrick Tiernan has got himself in front, and the word we're getting, Kara, from the course right now is very little wind in these stretches around Natick.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell they're sort of regrouping. They know the climbing is coming. So they're kind of regrouping here and getting ready for the work ahead. Push the momentum. They have to create the momentum up those hills with that chair. It's very difficult.
So the men have come through 20 kilometers at Wellesley, and Linkletter of Canada out there alone on the far left. In fact, so far left as we lost him on screen there, as they've got themselves, again, in a very quick race on the men's side, and the women's race, where the men are still ahead of course record pace. The women are only about 5 seconds behind that course record pace as well, as they've now come through. You see the banner there as they measure this race, of course, in miles here in Massachusetts. So 10 miles in for Boriso, trying to insert some pace here.
Well, she's definitely doing it. We see Sharon Lokedi was 4th at the Olympics, has won the New York City Marathon, was 2nd here just a year ago. She's really having to work here to hang on to this pace in the front. It might be a little early for a big change in pace out there on this course before the climbs. But Bariso is pushing this, Paul, is not afraid, and is really trying to break this open early.
Yelamzurf Yahulala of Ethiopia, the 2022 London champion, is in 2nd position, just ahead of the two-time defending champion here in Boston, Helen O'Beary, and then Lokedi. A lot of people talked about Lokedi kind of having a chip on her shoulder coming into this race.
You know, I talked to her and she was just so excited. Her preparation has gone so well. She was 2nd here a year ago, was not initially.
Thank you very much, Hannah. And there's Susanna Scaroni, who's inside the last 2K of her race. And she's got this well in hand. And Carrie, in the pro women's race, we've seemed to have this thinned out a little bit of a break here.
Yeah, I mean, we're watching Amane Bariso really try to push this. You know, I said she was runner-up here in 2023. She's got that amazing 2:14 PR, so this pace for her feels right. And she knows how to run this race. But remember, this course really attacks you on the second half, so still being careful is something that you have to use and keep in your toolbox.
Helen O'Beary, though, one of those four. So is Sharon Lochetti. So kind of as we keep track of Sharon's efforts to, Helen's efforts to win a third straight. She's very much in the shakeup along with Yelmzurf Yahalo.
Yeah, Yahalo, what people are now calling, thanks to Let's Run, is Y square. But yeah, she is one of, I think the story kind of to be told. She's the youngest in this field right here, or in this group right here. She's 25 years old. She just has a really neat story. She came out of the blocks, if you could say that in a marathon. She came out really hot early on, and she had some injuries. So she is very fast over the half marathon. She's got a 63-minute PB in the half marathon. So she has the wheels to be able to handle maybe the finishing touches of the Helen O'Beary kick, but she has to draw that out of her early on. So she had told me that's her thing. She's not really willing to.
Welcome back to the road to Boston. Streets through Hopkinton, Ashland, Framingham, Natick, Wellesley, Newton, Brookline, Boston. Men on the left, they went through the half in 101.52, which is not quite record pace, but it also wasn't exactly some kind of a burner. And there's a full group there as they head into the second half of this race. Josh Brogadier's with them. Josh, you got a lot of people to keep track of out there, brother.
Yeah, absolutely we do. Look, Michael Conley, the author of 26 Miles to Boston, said it this way. People don't come to Boston to run its race. They come to Boston to live their life. And I'm seeing 14 very fast life livers right in front of me flying along the course here. Like you said, it may not be record pace, but to them, this is the way to live their life. Now, there are only 2 former champions in that group, winners from the past. Sasai Lemba, like we talked about, he's in the middle of that group right now. Evans Chibet a little bit in the back of that group right now. Out front and looking strong, American Connor Mantz. You guys know his experience in the Olympics. He ran this 2 years ago. He got 11th. Don't count out Connor Mantz as we approach the Newton Hills right now, guys.
Thanks, Josh. Hey, throw Korir a Sharpie so he can put his name on his siglet as he runs by there. And the women's carry is a group of 5 as we take a look at them. And the person that can round up what's happening with that handful of women, including Helen O'Beary, is Alexis Beckett.
Yeah, guys, Yelmzurf Yawalo has taken the lead. She's had it for about the past 2 miles, but this pack of 5 with Helen O'Beary and Sharon Lochetti, Irene Cheptai, and like I said, Yelmzurf, they've broken far away from the next pack behind them, but it's feeling like a really good race. Everybody looks so comfortable. I talked to Helen O'Beary about racing with Sharon Lochetti and the Kiplagat all the time, and she said the way that I look at them is friends as opposed to competitors. I've raced with them so much. They help motivate me, so it's great to see Helen O'Beary and Sharon Lochetti so close together. I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Alexis. Good race, and there's a second pack behind there. Not too far, but it appears that the race is going to come down to these 5 women unless something significant happens.
Someone we haven't talked about is Irene Cheptai. She's newer to the marathon. This is only her 3rd marathon. She comes from that track background, right? So she's learning this distance, but she's done really well. 3rd in Chicago, like I said, 1 Hamburg in 2024. So coming here as a newbie, but very good at this distance. She said that she's been training back home. She's really excited about here. She trains with the males like a lot of people, but her husband watches her workout. Her coaches sends from a distance. She said the hills are everywhere, so she's prepared for them.
So as the women continue on in the race, I want to take a moment here and remember a familiar voice of the Boston Marathon, Elle Troutwig, who sadly is no longer with us.
Des Linden is the 2018 Boston
record as they've reached the halfway mark in 61.52. So the men into the second half of their race, the women racing on the course as well, and back to the finish line we go to hear from the winner in the women's wheelchair division, Susanna Scaroni of the United States.
Susanna, injured a year ago, unable to compete here in Boston. You come back this year, you take the win. Can we call it a comeback?
You can call it a miracle. I'm so thankful today. It was a gift from God to be feeling strong, be able to make a gap on a downhill from an amazing field of women, and just float home with all these loud crowds. So it's really a blessing for me.
Let's talk about that moment that you did break away. You were together, at least a pack of 3 of you, for quite a while. What did it take to make that move, and how much was that planned or in the moment?
It was in the moment, I will say, but my many years of coming to Boston helped me feel pretty confident going down quite a technical, steep hill right before the Newton Hills start. And so I think my experience helped me make my gap there. And then I love climbing hills, so then I kind of got like a pat on the back right after that happened. And it wasn't until I got to the top that I realized I was by myself.
So for all the people who fear the hills here in Boston, you're the antidote to that, saying that's actually when you can make the move. Does that sound about right?
Absolutely.
It is the 50th anniversary of the wheelchair division here in Boston. What does that mean to you?
You know, I am only here today because so many incredible individuals fought. They had integrity, tenacity. They knew that they belong as athletes, and they allowed us to have what we have today, and so I'm beyond grateful. I'm not brave like them, so I'm only here because of how awesome those people are.
Did you just say I'm not brave like them after just winning the Boston Marathon? I beg to differ. What does this win mean to you today?
It means so many things. I'm so grateful. I've been given the awesome opportunity to train at the University of Illinois under an amazing coach with wonderful training partners. Come to Boston and races like this and race with awesome fields, and all of this experience, the knowledge sharing that we have in our really nice community has helped me get to where I am today, and I love getting to share that with all the next generations too.
Thank you for sharing your gift with all of us. Susanna, congratulations on the win here today in Boston.
Thank you so much.
A lot of credit given to Bob Hall for that breakthrough moment, but also want to make mention of Sharon Ron, who 2 years later was that first female wheelchair racer in Boston, and Susanna Scaroni, a fitting champion on this anniversary day, taking the women's wheelchair race. Well, the Scream Tunnel is alive and well in Wellesley. You've had that experience before, Kara Goucher, and you've had that experience being among the leaders. How big a help is this at this point of the race?
Oh, they're so excited to see the leaders, and they're so loud. And we saw Sharon Laketti wave a little bit. Like, you just take it in. It's hard not to. It's hard to not pick up your stride a little bit through that section. But then it is followed by this silence. You kind of go into the forest, and so it is quite a contrast while you're out there. You get a rush of adrenaline, and then it all kind of calms down. And we see the women almost regrouping here and repacking after that loud stretch.
As they come into their next aid station, and a little bit of traffic here, you can see the hands and saying, hey, give me room, give me space. And that's the respect of equal competitors at this point of the race. You don't want to block somebody out from missing their water bottle. You wouldn't be mad if they did, but
yeah.
But I think it's a bit about the sportsmanship here. These women are 44 seconds ahead of course record pace here in what has been remarkable racing so far. Buzanesh Deba of Ethiopia, 2:19.59, the only sub 2 hour and 20 minute performance. There you see the women at 15K.
Yeah, Paul, and I'm wondering now that these women pressed really hard and created some separation, if they might slow down a little bit and gather themselves. They kind of wanted to push, and there's this phrase, separate the pretenders from the contenders. And I wonder if now we'll see a little bit of regrouping here amongst these women.
Yeah, and I take note of that 15-kilometer list that we saw, where we had 14 women in that lead group 5 kilometers ago, and that has now dwindled to 5. So you can see that pace has really stayed hot and stayed constant. And you look at the fastest times in the history of this event, first 3 of those times you saw was from the podium in 2014, and then the last fastest race was back in 2002 with Margaret Okeo of Kenya winning that day in 2:20:43. But right now, crowd has gotten loud once again, and bottles are dropping to the wayside here. Everyone getting in their fluids. And as they get into Wellesley Square, those bottles not consistent necessarily in what they have in them from one stop to the other.
Some are more concentrated than others. Sometimes they have more volume. Sometimes they're more concentrated. Sometimes they have caffeine, and sometimes they don't. They're really tailored. And nutrition has come a long way in the last, I'd say, 5 or 6 years for these athletes. Really tailored individually to each athlete and what they need at that point in the race. You see Helen O'Beary there in the back of that pack, our 2-time reigning champion, really taking the time with her nutrition. She knows how important it is here at Boston to get those fluids and get that nutrition early on in the course. It takes a while for your body to absorb it, so the earlier stages is much more important to take those fluids than later.
So the women have just passed the half marathon point here in 68:46. The split for the course record was 69:28, so this is hot.
They are flying, and you know, when that course record was set, I will say Shalane Flanagan of the United States came after running in 2013 and wanting to deliver an American win, and she ran totally free. She dragged the women out. She ended up being overtaken in the later stages of the race, but she really ran aggressively from the gun. So to see them over a minute, Paul, ahead of that is truly incredible. And to see 5 women almost working together at this point, we don't have someone that's trying to run away with it. We have 5 women who are really thinking about what's going to happen ahead and trying to strategize when they're going to make their move. This is incredible racing, and also considering they got off that starting line very, very conservatively. It really just shows you how fast those last few miles were.
Well, I note of the 5 women in this lead group, Lokedi and O'Beary actually with lifetime bests above that 2-hour and 20-minute mark. So you got 3 women known for their super fast races on flat courses. How does the rest of this course play into not only this pace, but who may have an advantage?
I think the women who have run here before have the advantage because they know what's ahead. Now, granted, the last 5 miles is going to come down to speed. It's slightly downhill, straightaways, and lots of fast running. But the challenge of these hills, the Newton Hills, the climbs here, and the ability to know you're going to have a chance to recover, the ability to know what's ahead really is a huge advantage on this course. We'll find out what happens, but my gut says the people who have been here before are going to fare a little bit better.
The group chasing this group of 5, now 49 seconds back. Haile Selassie and Tusa with Cheptu, Ngugi, and Dariba, all part of that group, as well as Thackeray of Great Britain. Pretty much all Kenya, Ethiopia here at the top of the ledger. Then you had Thackeray, and then there was a quartet of Americans, I believe, as part of that top 20. But you had to go down to Annie Frisbee, who's the top American right now, coming through in 66 minutes even.
Will happen, and I love her. She's dominating and pushing our field forwards, and so I will say that I'm pretty happy to have come in first today, but I love all the people I race with.
Yeah, and listen, you love those hills. I mean, they're heartbreak for others, but there's something in you that enables you to conquer those. What is it? Because that's so critical here, obviously.
Yeah, it's my small town of Tico, Washington, near Spokane, Washington, where I learned how to really love hills. You have to love them if you're going to survive.
And on the 50th anniversary of Bob Hall opening the door to this sport, what does it mean to you to win on this particular day?
Honestly, the reason I'm here today is because of hard working people that have tenacity and integrity to push for us to be here today. I don't think I have that kind of personality. So really, to be here because people knew this was the right thing to do, and they were able to advocate for that and work so hard for this. It means everything, yeah.
Well, you are nothing if not tenacious coming back from terrible injury. This is your 5th major since that training accident. So I think tenacity is your middle name, Susanna. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, thank you.
John?
Thank you, Hannah, and congratulations again to Susanna Scaroni as we look at the men's race. Josh, thank goodness you can count, because you said there were 14 last time. Looks like there's the same 14 this time. What do you have for us?
Actually, John, I have some breaking news for you. Sasai Lema just dropped out of the race.
Oh!
The defending champion, who was with the pack moments ago, went to the side right by Newton Wellesley Hospital. He put his leg on one of the barriers and started to stretch out his calf like most of us who have run before have done. So Sasai Lema no longer in that lead group. In fact, I don't see him anymore. He is not in this front group, and he is not even in the secondary group. He's far back from where our camera can see. Sasai Lema, who last year was all on his own the whole way, and this year changed up his strategy to run with the pack, is no longer even in that pack or in our sights, John.
Wow, important information. Great update, Josh Brogadier on the moto with our men's leaders as they are through 16 miles, which means they're into Newton, which means the hills are coming, and that pack of 14 or 13 is not going to stay that way very long, because that will sort people out for sure. Carrie, we still got the Fab Five.
Ooh, we sure do, and get this, they are well under course record pace, 46 seconds under course record pace. Bhushana Deva set that in 2014. She ran 2:19.59, and they are flying.
Helen O'Beary, this is way faster than anything she's ever run in that pace. Sharon Lochetti, the same. Her best is 2:23. Bariso, she's run 2:15, so she's comfortable in this pace. We'll see what happens as they continue on. But right now, they are not just the Fab Five, they are the Fast Five, Carrie. They look good through 15 miles. These people are just getting started. These are the people that make the Boston Marathon great. They've qualified in our race. There's 4 of us. There's 5 of them in the women's race, Carrie.
I'm getting fired up here. I've been texting a little bit with Helen O'Beary's coach, Jathan Ritzenheim. Everybody knows him here in the States. He's a phenomenal coach. Was an awesome runner himself. But you know what? I asked him, I said, what is Helen doing when she's touching her face? I remembered vaguely that she was praying, and she was doing that just a little bit ago, and you could see her touching her face, not just using that high arm carriage. So you can tell that she's really getting into this now as we see Amane Bariso now take the lead again. But when I said quickly, are you pumped that she's in the lead? And all he wrote back was, wow. So you know that Jathan Ritzenheim and the team there in Boulder are really excited for her. This has been a different build-up for Helen O'Beary. She was over in Kenya away from her family. We asked her about that at the panel. It's a big sacrifice to leave your family to go, but this has been serious for her. She wants to come here and win, and you know, she's not a spring chicken. She's getting a little bit older, so every ounce matters, and every win is huge.
Ran 68.46 for the half. That is very quick for all of these women. I mean, some have half PRs that are quicker than that, but never across, obviously, the full 26.2. As they get through Wellesley, the Scream Tunnel, and all the loud. Listen, this place, it's louder in some places than others, but it's loud all the time, right? It's a lot like it. Usually they're just loud at the finish line, Meb. This is like a 26-mile finish line to some degree with the noise.
From Hopkinton all the way to Boston is very loud. There's amazing people just having a picnic or just hanging out cheering the runners.
On the left, you got Connor Mantz. He's out there, his training partner, former also BYU Cougar. Clayton Young is still with him. So men on the left, women on the right. Right now, comfortable in their pack. Women blazing along, the men sort of just running along.
Well, I think the power of pairs, right, John? I mean, when we see it in the women's side.
Well, 2 runaway races in the wheelchair division, and no runaway races happening here on our 2 remaining races that will follow into Boston. The men's professional field, still a group there, though. You see Canadian Royer Linkletter beginning to lose a little bit of contact here, and in these sort of undulations of pauses to the climbs and then another climb, just critical to keep yourself within a few strides and hope maybe you can get back into the rhythm of that larger group in front of you.
Well, I want to point out in the purple, Idris, our 2017 and 2019 world champion in the 5,000 meters, is hanging in there at this point in the race. Pretty impressive run by him. And we did see some of the men grabbing water and putting it on their heads. It seems like maybe they are starting to feel the temperatures rising a little bit. It's not excessively hot, but they're just trying to keep themselves cool, especially in this section where they're really having to work hard to go up these hills.
Well, there's certainly been a lot of notable victories over the years, and certainly American victories of note. Mevka Plesky comes to mind just a decade or so ago, but if you go back 50 years, this man, Bill Rogers, starting his dominance on the roads from Hopkinton to Boston. Four-time Boston champion. One of the grand marshals of this 2025 edition of the Boston Marathon. As Conor Mantz looks at his watch, and again, that look and race cadence of reckless abandon, but it is very much his style. So if you've not seen him run in a major marathon before, do not be surprised by kind of the cadence of his stride here in the early going. You see John Korir coming out to the outside on the left side as we bring in those splits at 30 kilometers, 15 seconds behind the course record right now. But what a large group in leadership position, and Korir just kind of getting out of traffic and harm's way, getting to his bottle, and Idris still there in the blue, right alongside Patrick Tiernan. He goes to his bottle now, and that's, you know, something you have to learn here. You're not doing that on a track race.
Oh, absolutely not, especially the 5,000. So he's learning all sorts of new skills and displaying it here today. I'm very impressed that he's still in this lead pack at 30 kilometers. This is a new game for him, and he's doing very, very well.
So also part of that group, Daniel Mateko and Evans Chibet. Two-time champion is Chibet. Clayton Young, the other American in the field. Heymanot Alu of Ethiopia. Alphonse Simbu, who we haven't mentioned, from Tanzania. And then the group also continues to involve Tebelo Ramaglana of Lesotho, which, talking to a lot of people in and around this race, sort of felt like he was one of those people who could be in the mix late.
Named as a dark horse, certainly.
So a lot of folks still in this lead group as they came through 30 kilometers in 1 hour, 28 and 39 seconds as the race into Boston continues. Well, as the racing continues here in the full marathon, this is part of an expansive weekend of action in Boston.
Valencia. But we're not talking about that. Hannah, back to you. Like I said, keep my eye on 11:40 for when Riley starts. We're keeping track for you up here.
We can't wait. Well, she's really becoming a good road miler in her career, but she was good to get on the tangent, get on the inside, and it was still a large pack of women, but when it started to break up, she found herself out front.
As they made the turn for home, Lori Barton trying to chase down Ewoy, but you see the distance here. Barton would eventually get herself into second, just ahead of Boston College grad and Massachusetts native Kate Mitchell. So a local among the top three finishers, but Ewoy takes the win in the mile. And we're not done running in Boston. Got a men's 5K that happened as well as 20-year-old Diare of Eritrea took the lead with 600 meters to go, beating Patrick Deaver of Great Britain. And in the women's race, Gela Hambese of Ethiopia would be the winner in a sprint finish. And often these winners and podium finishers of these shorter races emerge as some of the favorites when the racing really matters on Monday.
Absolutely. Remember those names? We might see them on the marathon course in the next 4 to 5 years.
Back to our coverage in Boston of the men's and women's professional fields, and 28-year-old John Korir of Kenya, minus that racing bib on the front of his jersey, has now begun to fly in this portion of the race. And Connor Mantz trying to cover that move, head down, just trying to grind his way back into position to regain contact with him. And Yuhaulau and Amane Bariso are the two out here in front, leading the two-time defending champion Helen O'Beary, with Sharon Lokady and Irene Cheptai in pursuit.
Well, this is a move out of Korir here, Paul. He won the Chicago Marathon in the fall. He has high confidence coming in here. He knows this course. At the press conference, I spoke to him. I said, "How are you feeling?" "Great." "Are you ready to run?" "Yes." He knew what he wanted to do, and this is as decisive of a move as you can make out on this course, immediately breaking away from the pack.
See those splits and how he's maintained contact with the leaders and now has that advantage. And of course the subplot storyline to John Korir is that he is the younger brother of 2012 Boston champion Wesley Korir, and that linkage to history, part of the narrative that will follow as he makes his way towards Boston. But that is a very talented group that right now looks like it's going to be a patient group. That's Idris just ahead of Connor Mantz. See the fourth place finish just off the podium by Korir last year. That's also motivation beyond just the family connection here, as he just felt like he needed to be just a little bit better on the day last year in order to get on the podium, and now leads the Boston Marathon as they near 33 kilometers in. So inside of 10 kilometers to go in the men's race for a Boston title.
Well, we see him looking back here and there just to see what's happening behind him. He is the two-time Los Angeles Marathon champion, which is also a difficult hilly marathon. So he has planned this. This has been on his mind. He has opened up a lead here. I will say at Boston, it's never over till it's over, because there's so much that can happen in those final 10 kilometers. But right now he looks very, very good. And it's funny, I almost pointed him out earlier. He was running kind of in the back of the pack, and he just looked so effortless. It was almost like he was biding his time to go to work. And now we see Connor Mantz move to the front. Mantz knows he needs to close down that gap if he wants to be Boston Marathon champion. So as you said, Paul, head down and really now driving to close that gap.
Well, as we see this dwindling number in the lead group, we should mention that the defending champion, Sisse Lema of Ethiopia, has fallen well back of the field here. That very hot pace he could not sustain. Some questions about his fitness coming into the race. He ran a very dominant solo performance in winning a year ago, much like we're seeing from John Korir right now, but he was 6 minutes back at 25K, and he has not been picked up yet at 30 kilometers. So you see the list there that has come through at the 20-mile mark, with Korir at 1 hour and 35 minutes, and that 3-second delta between him and the rest of the field is actually growing here with every stride.
Yeah, this is a move here. The men in the back aren't sure if they should go with it or not, but Connor Mantz has decided he is going to go. He's gone to the front of that chase pack, and he's going to try to recoup some of the ground here that Korir is building here. But Korir is looking very good right now, bouncing right off that pavement, using his arms. effortless right now as he moves away from the rest of the pack.
So you look at the map, and really at the bottom, that very important to note of kind of where the undulations in this course occur and the elevation changes to where the women are versus the men. As the men kind of try to crest and get themselves over those Newton Hills and start that gentle descent, albeit not just so gentle to start, but eventually that gentle descent into Boston. And look at the distance Korir has put on the rest of the field. He takes a look back and just wondering, maybe to his own degree of surprise, of just how much space is now separated here in the men's division.
I think he really took that pack by surprise. And when I look at the women's field too, I noticed some breakups there, but I think that John Korir really just took that pack by surprise with that move. It was so powerful and so quick. And it was almost like they didn't have time to respond to it. And by the time they realized it, he had put so much distance on. Now he is continuing to look back. That can mean a couple things, that he wants the information of what's happening behind him, or he isn't feeling good. I think it's definitely the first, that he's just gathering information right now and seeing how his move is working. We do see him checking his watch, probably looking at his pace. He knows what he's capable of doing and trying to stay within those reins.
Well, similar race strategy than to what we saw in Chicago, where he made that decisive move and got himself out and away for the second fastest time in the race's history. And here trying to make some history, try to match the result of his brother, Wesley, from 13 years ago when he won in 2012. Cyprian Kotut is now leading this group that has dwindled to 4. And give credit to both Connor Mantz as the top American here, trying to make himself podium worthy on this day racing in Boston. And Lucar Edris trying to make a statement by transitioning to the roads successfully in his debut.
Absolutely. Now we take a look at the women. The last time we saw them, Loketti, who's now in 4th, had dropped back, but she has regrouped herself and gotten back on the back of that pack. But what a run we're seeing here from Juhala in the front there. We're not used to seeing her, Paul, as we said, on hilly courses. They are absolutely flying 2 minutes ahead of the course record pace. I cannot actually believe what we're watching right now. 4 women just flying out on the Boston course.
Well, and just a reminder for Helen O'Beary, lifetime best of 2:21:38, and that course record that has stood since 2014 is 2:19:59. So you're asking the two-time defending champion to run faster than she has ever run before. And as we see the leaders now dwindle to 4 at the front, and we mentioned that championship caliber success that Helen O'Beary has shown, back about 2.5 minutes off the lead and running solo, but being buoyed by this very appreciative crowd in Boston is Des Linden, the 2018 champion, who announced this morning that this would be her last competitive appearance at the Boston Marathon. You see the quote there in this morning's Boston Globe, ready to leave it out all on the course. Kara Goucher, you host a podcast with Des, know her very well. She probably shared a lot of her training details, really trying to make this preparation one of her best ever.
She's not out there doing a victory lap. She is out there racing as hard as she can. She prepared so well for this. She's hoping for a very good time on this course. She looks great to me. I know there's been a lot of emotion on her side and trying to sort of hold that in, knowing that this would be her last professional race here. But Des Linden loves this course. She fell in love with marathoning here. In 2011, her heart was broken by finishing in 2nd place, just 2 seconds off the win. But in 2018, she came in on a day where she didn't even feel that good and ran away, dominated the win here.
Well, look back to 2018, one of the worst weather days we've seen in Boston history, and that did not matter to this blue-collar type of runner, Des Linden, overcome with the emotion of the moment. This race has always meant so much to her, and to be added to the list of champions and to be then embraced by her husband and at the time her agent, Josh Cox, a very emotional moment. Know Josh very well, and it was an authentic and raw moment of emotion for all involved in Des Linden's camp at the time, and Des has gone on to be just a great steward of the sport. Wrote a book about her experiences, wrote chapters to kind of reflect that journey mile to mile to race to the finish of a marathon, and now has, retirement is a loose term, I think, for what she's talking about, a transition.
We will still see her racing. She's finished in the top five times here. This is her 12th Boston Marathon. She believes this city believed in her when no one else did, and it was very, very important to her that her last professional marathon come here. She is running very fast right now, Paul. I just want to say she is not out there just running for fun. She's actually running way faster than she has in the last few years. As I said, she put everything into this. She's out here to make this her one of the greatest marathons she's ever run during her last professional marathon.
She's currently not the top American in the field. That belongs to Annie Frisbee, who's running a very strong race. In fact, she has at 25K moved up into 6th overall. And with Irene Cheptai kind of falling a little bit off the back, I believe, in this women's lead race, will give her kind of a target to focus on if she wants to try to get up and get back towards the top leaders in this race. And with this pace, at the pace it's at, do you feel all four can stay with it?
I don't know. This is where the truth comes out, right? This is where experience really comes into play, and 3 of the women in the front have the experience and one woman doesn't, and that's Yahuala in the orange there, that's in 4th place, who pushed for so long. We know she can run fast, but she doesn't have experience on this course. We saw Sharon Lokedi, who we see on the left here. She fell back a little bit here and there, but now she looks very, very good. And of course, Obiri just always is in the hunt. So the 3 women we see in the front have experience here. They know what's ahead. They know what's up to come. And they all look really good to me at this point, especially considering how fast they are running.
Sharon Lokedi with 3 podiums and 4 Abbott World Marathon Majors, the 2022 New York City champion, and the runner-up here last year, sizing up the woman who beat her last year, Helen Obiri. They're side by side here with Bariso and Yahuala as this women's race, as the racing continues in Boston. This quartet of 4 women out on the race course, nearing the 30-kilometer mark of this race. With the 2-time defending champion, Helen Obiri, trying to chase history on this day. We have not seen a 3-time consecutive winner on the women's side in 26 years. Runner-up from last year, Lokedi. Yahuala, the London champion, youngest ever London champion back in 2022. And Amani Bariso, 5th in the Olympic marathon in Paris. Her 3rd appearance here. 12th back in 2016, runner-up in 23. And the reigning world champion in this event from Budapest in 2023. Very deep and talented set of credentials for these 4 women, and based on the pace, still well ahead of the course record in this race. Irene Cheptai about 15 seconds now back of this group in 5th position.
They have slowed a little bit, but they also are climbing right now. I mean, the ability of these women to just keep their foot on the gas pedal right now in these stages when it's so hard, it's so impressive. Only one of these women can cross the line first, but look at how they're gathering. We see them stretched all the way across the road. Now they're going in for their nutrition, really important at this stage. to get that nutrition in.
Carrizo would be officially the leader at 30 kilometers in 90, and those will be in Tokyo in mid-September. So the fall really loaded up with Sydney, Berlin, Chicago, New York, and the World Championships.
It's going to be an exciting fall, that's for sure.
We're getting in those fluids are our four leaders, Carrizo, Lopetti, Obiri, and Yahuala, as they're nearing almost 10K to go on the race into Boston. Bariso of Ethiopia, the 33-year-old, making her third appearance in Boston, now leading as they've crossed through 30 kilometers, 97:40, 1 hour 37 minutes and 40 seconds was the time there as they stay under course record. In the upper right of your screen is the leader, John Korir, and the larger picture has the chase group here. John Korir has put 41 seconds on this group of men chasing him. Cyprian Kotut now leading that chase group, seems determined to start to push the pace here. Connor Mantz again, head down, just grinding this one out, trying to be in a position to make the podium at least, but the distance that Korir has now put on this field, is it insurmountable at this point?
It's definitely getting more and more of a challenge, but it's not necessarily over. Anything can happen at Boston. I want to point out that Kotut trains with Evans Chibet, and Chibet said that he was in incredible shape, so we see him now next to Connor Mantz in that chase group, so you never know what can happen. Mantz wants this so badly, Paul. He really wants to arrive. He wants to be on a podium. And you see, we know he's hurting. We know he's in the grind, but he just bears it. He just knows he prepared himself to just be in that pain cave and ride these stages out. There's still a lot of running to do. Any of these four men we see right now have a shot at the podium, if not winning. But John Korir does look very, very good as his lead is extending over this chase pack.
Not since Galen Rupp in 2017 has an American made the podium. Rupp that year at the age of 30, finishing in second behind Jeffrey Karui. And Connor Mantz with all kinds of run left in the legs here. Confident runner. And the top American in Paris last year in the Olympic marathon. Coming off a very successful run in New York last year as well. Broke the American record in the half marathon earlier this year in Houston, so the confidence has absolutely been there. And he has talked more and more about the confidence that's been built over the last several races, and he's using that to his advantage here in the latter stages of Boston.
Yeah, he said it's really been a mentality shift, right? He always wanted to be one of the best in the world, but he had to go out and he had to learn and he had to get the experience. He feels like now he has done that. He's raced enough, he's gotten enough experience, and now it's time to deliver and land himself on a world major marathon podium.
So this chase group about 40 seconds back of John Korir. You can see those crowds now 4 or 5 deep. The men have less than 4K to go to reach Boylston Street.
The chase pack is about a half mile back now. I always like to look at their knees at this point in the race, Paul. You can see whose knee lift is still high and who's still bouncing. I really do like Connor Mantz's knee lift. His knees are still coming up as he fatigues. The knees come up less and less. Korir's knees, we can see on the right, are absolutely still coming up. So I think it's just going to be nearly impossible to catch him at this point, but Connor Mantz still has a lot of pop in his legs, and we do see Ricard Idris start to fall back now into that 5th position, and it's really going to come down to these 3 guys for that second and third spot.
Yeah, Mantz was the one who made that asserted move, then looked over his shoulder, said, hey, did I break loose at least one guy? And that one guy is Edris in his marathon debut, but he's not all the way out of it just yet. But a man known for some fantastic finishes at 5,000 meters when he had a lot of juice left in the legs. Looking like he's losing a little bit of contact now with that trio ahead of him with Kotut, Simbu, and Mantz.
Well, I do have to say, it looks like this chase pack is actually accelerating a little bit right now. We saw Mantz look at his watch. It's almost like he has a second life that just hit him, and these other men are not letting him go. Simbu, look at, he barely looks like he's breathing, honestly. His mouth is barely open, so I don't really know what he still has left in the tank. He's not showing that he's in any sort of distress, but it does seem like that chase pack is picking it up here and really pushing. We saw them cross the 24-mile mark. There's not much running left, but there is important running left.
Alphonse Simbu ran his personal best in December in Valencia and then turned around in February and ran 61 minutes for a half marathon. That was the last marathon was that fourth place finish in Valencia. 17th in Paris. Did not finish on that warm day in Budapest at the World Championships. But he is one of those three here with Kotut and Mantz. Note the difference now between Korir and the chase pack is up to 55 seconds. So whatever pace Mantz has inserted for that chase group has been responded to by Korir, who's not reacting to it necessarily, just showing how strong he is running here in a effort that is eerily similar to what he did in Chicago for the win, but there's no similarities to the courses between Chicago and Boston.
Oh, absolutely not. They couldn't be more different, but I think we're learning what his new strategy is and his new fitness and in his new confidence in himself is to make a big, bold move before people are expecting it and to really open up this gap, which continues to extend 55 seconds. He is just hammering. Even though he looks composed, it's hard to tell how fast he's running. I think we see in that chase pack, we see them working a little bit harder. We can see it on their faces a little bit more and in the way their arms are pumping. Korir looks a little bit more relaxed, but he is just still bouncing off that pavement. We see him looking back and looking at his watch. He's just gathering information, making sure that he's planning everything right to the last detail here so that he can become Boston Marathon champion and potentially, Paul, join his brother to become the first brothers to win the Boston Marathon.
You know, I'm always struck by doing the research for all these events, Kara, and just how much history and breakthrough moments that have happened, and yet you have a situation with two brothers coming in, you know, another bit of Boston legends born.
Absolutely. I mean, that is an incredible story and something that I don't think anyone could fathom, that two siblings would be good enough and dominant enough in their sport to win the Boston Marathon, a marathon that is just so rich and steeped in tradition and in competition. So this is incredible. He's decided to take his bottle. A lot of the athletes won't take it at 40K because they're focused in on the racing, and it's hard to get any real benefit at this point from the bottle. So he's taking it. It's a little climb here that feels very, very tired, you know, very steep on your legs. He keeps looking back. He knows he's in good position here. And he's put himself in a position where he might be able to really, truly enjoy that run down Boylston. His mouth is opening now for the first time. He's obviously working hard, but again, his form is so collected and so smooth.
So closing in on the final stretch of this men's race, the women still in a battle with the four running kind of across from each other. No one really wanting to take the race at hand at this point, with Lokedi maybe slightly ahead for just a moment. But Obiri, who had been kind of behind this group here for most of the last stretch of the race, starting to show and emerge here, and knowing that she's going to have to, if she wants to win a third consecutive title, start to try to take control.
Well, I'll tell you, she is not afraid of the kick, Paul. She was known as a kicker on the track, and I asked her about that. How does the kick on the track translate to the marathon? And she said, once a sprinter, always a sprinter. So she knows she has that in her back pocket. And for her, it's really about maintaining contact and making sure she has a clear path for when the kicking begins. We see Connor Mantz now really digging as deep as he can to try to find something to separate himself here. To land on the podium would be such a huge moment for him. Years in the making, so much expectation on this young man from Utah, and he's really digging deep now to try to find something to separate from these two other men and get himself on that podium.
Well, he is leaving absolutely everything out on this course right now. He is the one that has been making these deliberate moves, trying to break loose. He did that successfully the last time with Idris, now well off the pace back in 5th position, but Mantz has not been able to shake the two men that are alongside him, Kotut and Simbu, as they are gearing up for a sprint finish for the podium. And in isolation there, even though the group trailing him can be seen off in the distance, John Korir closing in on a Boston Marathon win.
I just keep thinking about how confident he seemed on Friday. He was so relaxed. There was no stress in him. He knew the work had been done, and now we see him just dominating this Boston Marathon. All that hard work paying off. He's just running himself into the history books here, being able to sort of take this in and not have to press over these final stages. This run for second place is a very different situation. It's a stressful situation. These men are still feeling each other out. Connor Mantz has really pulled them to this point, but they still look good. And there's still a lot of racing for them to see who ends up on the podium.
Another look at the watch by Connor Mantz. As Korir now a kilometer away. And another big look back. Nothing to see there, young man, as he continues those strides. The 28-year-old.
This is a nice little reprieve on the course where he is. You get a little downhill where you go under the underpass. You get to feel a little bit different muscle group in your legs as you go down a little bit there, and then you come back up and have to climb a little bit. This is the second to last hill. Hereford is also a hill, so this is the last little bit of challenge that he has ahead of him. He keeps looking back. He sees no one, Paul. There is no one there. One more hill on Hereford. It's not as steep, but it's certainly a hill, and then he'll be home free to run down Boylston.
And after that little quiet moment, the eruption from the crowd as they welcome a new Boston Marathon champion home.
There he goes on that famous right-hand turn. Everyone looking, straining their necks to see who is in the lead. And they'll see John Korir without his bib. But it is certainly John Korir here leading this Boston Marathon.
Yeah, lost his bib early in the race. What will change when he potentially returns, hopefully next year, is the bib will just say John.
Exactly, exactly. The gift you get of being a former champion, you always get your first name on your bib.
On to Boylston Street. The finish line is now in sight. And on Hereford, here is the race for the rest of the podium. Mantz, Kotut, and Simbu.
Mantz is digging down so deep, finding everything he can to try to push away on that little bit of uphill. It is such a grind for the three men behind, but not for John Korir. Look at how effortless this looks, Paul. In his final strides here, just so upright and so much flow and relaxation in his body.
Crowd and the noise beginning to envelop the 28-year-old John Korir. 3 across now, that race behind him with Kotut, Simbu, and Mantz. And look at this. It's going to come fast and furiously as the finish line is in sight for all these men. Now these other three men are going to get pushed over to the right side now and trying to get directed that way as we welcome into the closing stretch to join his older brother Wesley Korir.
Pulled out his bib.
Pulled out his bib as John Korir adds his name to the history. And look who's celebrating there at the finish line. John Korir joins his brother Wesley as a Boston Marathon champion. And here comes Simbu, Kotut, Mantz, just not having enough in the tank. As the race for second is going to come down to a lean. And Simbu and Kotut will finish here nearly side by side. What a finish for second. As Korir with the third fastest finish in Boston history.
Here, we'll bring out here. We'll bring out here. John, come on out here for a second.
And Mukhtar Edris, and not a story to be lost on this championship race day.
Incredible performance by him, stepping up from the track, and his track days have been over for a while, Paul, so what a race out of him. Mantz, very impressed by his effort today. He left it all out there. He should have no regrets. He did everything he could. He did everything right. And he should celebrate that fourth place finish.
So Edris comes across the line in fifth in his debut. Here is Linkletter and Clayton Young battling down Boylston Street. You saw Linkletter kind of fall back a little bit in that lead group, and he's regathered himself well, but Young just kind of lurking there is going to try to time this when both these men attended Brigham Young University. And so Mantz, also a graduate of that school, so it's been a good day for those group of runners from that collegiate program in the United States. Now Young coming to the inside, and this goes, hey, college allegiances aside, now Linkletter back into the lead.
This is an incredible race out of both of these men. They're both going to run well under their previous personal best and on such a difficult course. Great day, great effort from Rory Linkletter, who led a lot of the beginning of this marathon, and Clayton Young. Extremely great finish from him. He had a difficult build up to Boston, but look at him now, finishing in seventh. What a run out of those two.
She's got that pressure on. She has to do it if she wants to run the legs out of Helen Obiri. Yahalo is great as well. She's got that speed, but I really think that this is where Lokedi needs to start thinking about really starting to put the pressure on.
And it becomes a whole different race. You see a lot of those fast marathon times, but that's because they're in races with pace setters. They're in races with people that can help them through this. These guys are on their own, and there are three left. Who will join John Korir as a Boston Marathon champ? Well, that's why we're here. That's our job, and we can't wait to bring it to you. 120 with Carrie. We've got basically a 5K remaining.
Oh, I am so excited. This is what gets me every time, this finishing kick here in Boston. Every single year, it seems like in the last few, as I said, it comes down to the final 100 meters. But we're seeing Sharon Lokedi start to put that pressure on, as I said. Yahalo, she knows she needs to as well. We've talked about her half marathon. She's a 63-minuter over half marathon. She's one of the fastest that we've ever seen in history there, but I think that they all know what Helen Obiri has done. This woman has won medals.
Women are down to three. Sharon Lokedi saying to Helen Obiri, if you would like to take the lead, you are welcome to, but Obiri not interested, and Yuhualau is the third in that group. No sign of Mane Bariso, so down to three women as they race towards a championship on Boylston Street. So Kara, three women now left. Who do you like?
I like all of them, Paul. How's that for an answer?
No, you got to pick one.
I am very impressed by Yahuala, who has really only raced flat marathons before, that she has survived the climbs. She has survived to this point in the race, and she still looks good. We know Obiri is confident in her finish. We know she doesn't fear that. But we also know the Lekedi has had an unbelievable year and is very supremely confident. Now we see a shot of the first American in the field right now, Annie Frisbee, looking great. She trains with Dakota Popane. Her coach told me, though, that her workouts were just as good as Dakota's, and this is an awesome race out of her. She looks so good and relaxed at this late stage. She is actually challenging what would be the American course record out here right now, on pace to run under 2:23. Of course, the American course record is low 2:22.
35-kilometer split for Lekedi was 1 hour, 54 minutes, and 41 seconds. The course record split for this race was 1:39.20. Perez Jepchirchir did that a few years ago. Dibba on way and en route to the course record ran 1:39.21 for 30K, 1:56.23 at 35K. So they're well under course record pace here.
It would certainly solidify that to everyone, but hopefully in her mind as well.
We mentioned it earlier in the broadcast that both Lekedi and Obiri are being basically forced to run faster than they've ever run the marathon distance before. Yahuala has that flat racing pedigree where Lekedi and Obiri have really benefited from race courses like this, and Yahuala now sensing maybe an opportunity here to start the sprint for home.
Well, her agent did say that if she was still in the mix, they hoped she would make a move around the 24th mile mark. And it seems to be that she is trying to execute that plan. Again, Paul, I'm so impressed that she is still here. This is a new situation for her, a course like this, the challenges of this course, her ability to be there still at this point in the race is very, very impressive to me. To train for Boston is very, very different than training for the London Marathon. And she's doing a great job out there.
Well, even with that new pace, 3 women in the race for the Boston Marathon title in 2025. The 2-time defending champion Helen Obiri, Sharon Lekedi, and Yalamzurf Yahuala of Ethiopia. 3 across now, and Helen Obiri. As we await these women to arrive on Boylston Street, a few moments ago, a new men's champion is crowned. As we check in with Allie Feller, who's with John Korir.
She got right back up in there, and she's feeling that energy that these two in front. Sharon Lekedi leading this race, Helen Obiri. These two have duked it out time and time again. Oh my gosh, you guys,
Yeah.
I can hardly handle it.
There are no secrets here, to be sure. Amanda McGrory, you were a pace setter. You were a pioneer to some degree in yours. You watch this and see strong, powerful women competing like this. What do we think? What's your view?
A pack of 3 is not a bad place to be. Like Meb said, you are guaranteed a 3rd place finish. You're guaranteed a podium spot. So I think that could give someone a little bit of courage to make a risky move here, put themselves out there and see what's going to happen.
Shannon Lekedi is taking the lead because she knows what the speed of Helen Obiri is going to be like. She don't want to be coming to Boylston. She's going to try as much as she can to get grind right now and not come to Boylston Street because we know that Helen Obiri had the speed. As we can see, Yalamzurf Yahuala is kind of dropping a little bit, so she's going to take her 2nd place and see what happens on Boylston. It's going to be a dual meet between Helen and Sharon.
Mile 24, 4:53, everybody. We are seeing a little bit of a break here.
Yep.
Sharon Lekedi, this is what she does. She likes to push in the final 2 miles. I told you, when she ran that half in New York City just a few weeks ago, she had a major move with 3 to go. And this is what's going on right here. She's making a major move. Helen Obiri is covering it. But Yahalo is not.
We've seen them duel before. Yahalo cannot. She looks behind her. You talked about the podium. Third place pays $40,000. Second place is $75,000. First place is $150,000. They keep going. There's also a $50,000 bonus to break the course record. So make no mistake about it. The trophy's nice. The laurel wreath is nice. So is money, okay?
Great story for him today as he joins his brother as a Boston Marathon champion. Meantime, all kinds of support along the race course right now for these three seeking to become the champion in 2025, including Helen O'Beary.
As much as you can to create some space away from Helen, because you don't want to be in a sprint against Helen.
All right, so the women's champion still in doubt. It's another duel between Lechetti and O'Beary. We're going to go to Hannah, who has the men's champion, John Korir. Hannah?
Korir finishing this race in 2:04:45. A guy who runs Boston and Chicago, won Chicago in October. Followed that up today with the title in Boston, the younger brother of Wesley Korir, who won this in 2012.
Helen trying to join them. When Helen O'Beary made her Boston debut in 2023, few knew what to expect. But the Olympic medalist on the track showed she was more than ready for the marathon challenge on the roads, surging past the competition late and powering down Boylston Street to take the victory. A champion finding success in just her second marathon, and it would be a sign of things to come. Fast forward to 2024, and after winning the New York City Marathon the previous fall, O'Beary was back with even more confidence. She ran smart, stayed patient, and once again made her move when it mattered most. Another late race surge, another sprint to the tape, and a second straight Boston finish line celebration. And with the win, became only the sixth woman in history of the race to win at least two in a row. Now she's chasing something even more rare, a Boston three-peat. Can O'Beary make it three in a row? We will soon find out. Chasing that history is Helen O'Beary, but now also chasing Sharon Lechetti, last year's runner-up, is now the leader in the Boston Marathon as they've just passed 39 kilometers, and the fastest of the three of these leaders for the women, Yohalalo, is now falling off the back of this trio as it's down to a two-woman race for now.
Well, she really helped this race roll and get them to the pace that they're at right now. I think she will hang on for a very, very strong third finish here. But now we have a battle of these two women who have been so close. Remember, Lechetti was second to O'Beary last year, not by much, by 8 seconds. So O'Beary said she does not fear the sprint. She considers herself a sprinter, but Lechetti is in new shape this year, Paul, and she's been running with more confidence. So we see her now in the lead here, not afraid to take it and see if she can stretch out that kick and really take the sting out of O'Beary's legs.
2:19:59. That is the current standard for the fastest time ever run in the women's marathon. The record is the green dot that's pulsating on the screen. The women that are racing on your screen are that pulsating red dot, L for leader. So more than a minute ahead of the course record pace that was set back in 2014. Neither of these two women have ever.
So we've got a sit and kick race.
Yeah, 2K to go. 2K to go. They got up that last little bump there. You definitely feel that bump there. They both went for their bottles, so you know they're both relaxed in their right mind. I think if you get too foggy and your body starts to go, you throw out that last bottle and you just keep racing. These two went over, and I always say it. I think you show your athleticism when you can grab those bottles this late in the stage of a marathon.
Yes, I think after Helen threw O'Beary just threw her water bottle, but at this time you just want to get your mouth wet a little bit, get a little sugar to let the brain know that you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
But at this point it's not that important to carry the water bottles. But I saw earlier there was a lot of hand gesture again. Sharon, Lechetti don't want to take the lead. and Helen O'Berry don't want to take the chance, so she's gonna wait until the last move is be made.
What I like right now, when I'm looking at form, Sharon Lokedi, a little bit of a tilt back. That's sort of how she runs, but you can see a little. And this is exactly what I would say. Helen O'Berry has that lean forward, but watch right there. Then Lokedi reacts. Woo.
This is where the mental over body, because at this point you've been very competitive. If you were feeling good, you would have made a move and created a space. The creative space is not happening now. You're just trying to scan as much as you can. I'm gonna work hard next to you, shoulder to shoulder. I think it's gonna come right now, but Helen O'Berry's been behind. It's kind of like the rubber we take sometimes, the Ethiopians and the Kenyans. They don't want to take the lead until they have to come to the finish line, and Sharon's getting a little bit impatient with it, but she got to save something for Helen.
Well, this is where the track star in Helen O'Berry really shines. She's used to surges and she's used to changing, but right now Sharon Lokedi is putting it on her. Can Helen O'Berry go for that three-peat? She's trying. She's hanging on.
Yeah, usually Helen on your shoulder is not a great thing, but she's freshened it right there.
There is a space been created. It's not big, but it's a little bit. If Sharon Lokedi can be able to see what she's doing, it might be the moment.
Remarkable pace of running here for the women as they both choose to go to their fluids one last time.
You know, there is research that says even if you just swish your fluids, it sends a signal to your brain that it is getting those calories. It's too late in the race for them to actually absorb them, but they both went for their bottle. They're both going to try to swish that and just get a little bit of an energy boost from their brains from tasting that liquid. They are in full flight though now, Paul. It's hard to imagine how they could pick it up anymore. They are running so fast. This is truly just phenomenal to watch. They are rewriting the history books today.
Lokedi still holding the bottle. O'Berry slammed it down with authority. In the background, you can see the aerial view of Fenway Park, a legendary stadium for Major League Baseball in the United States. That is always a traditional part of the Patriots Day celebration. And with 1 mile to go, O'Berry for the very first time looks like she tried to make a move, and Lokedi covered it quickly.
She absolutely did, and Lokedi shut that down. She said, no, I'm ready. 2 Kenyan women who had different approaches leading into this. Lokedi stayed in the United States, decided to stick it out in Flagstaff through the winter. O'Berry decided to go to Kenya and guarantee that she wouldn't have to deal with the snow and ice. But yes, O'Berry went to the arms there. We actually saw her physically move and try to move by, and Lokedi shut it down.
Lokedi has 3 podium finishes in 4 Abbott World Marathon Majors. Well on her way to a 4th podium here, but wants the top of the podium here on Patriots Day in Boston. O'Berry really going to the arms, demonstrative, even though that is her classic style, but she is really focused on that and focused on the back of Lokedi, and Lokedi looks very comfortable. And maybe just ever so slightly a little bit of separation here, but they're both in tow. Yahuala there in the distance, alone in 3rd.
Lokedi looks so determined at this point, Paul. We know her as so smiling and friendly, but right now she is so determined to take this race and make it hers. She is creating just a little bit of space right now between herself and O'Berry. It's almost like O'Berry can't believe it, and Lokedi does look a little bit more relaxed to me at this stage. Remember though, O'Berry has that kick, so nothing is over till it's over between these 2.
Every year this Boston Marathon has a theme. In 2025 it is Meet the Moment, honoring a celebration of resilience, community, and perseverance. And right now Sharon Lokedi meeting that moment on the race course in the final stages, slowly stretching that lead. And now a good look at it from high above as they will go under Mass Ave. Quiets down ever so slightly.
This is where she'll hear her breath. She'll really only hear herself and O'Berry behind her, and of course the motorcycles next to her, and gather herself. This is how you beat Helen O'Berry. You have to push, you have to sacrifice everything and lay it all on the line, a K out.
Very similar kind of moment that Lokedi experienced back in that win in 2022 in New York City when you come off the bridge onto First Avenue and the crowd there, but it's a lot more racing to come into Central Park. In this case, there is not more racing to come as there's just a couple of turns left for Sharon Lokedi to try to end Helen O'Beary's win streak here in Boston.
Well, Lokedi surprised herself with that victory in New York, but this victory here, she's able to do this, was very much so planned, Paul. She wanted this so much. She stretched out her long runs this year. She actually hired pacers to help her to run faster in her workouts. And look at the damage she's doing to Helen O'Beary here with just over 600 meters to go.
Yeah, O'Beary herself looked back, maybe now more worried about where Yahuala is in the race for second, cresting this slight hill that doesn't feel slight on Hereford as she will make the left turn onto Boylston Street.
Listen to those cheers. She takes a look back. She knows she has played her cards perfectly. You have to put Helen away before the straightaway. You have to make her question herself, and that's exactly what she did. When O'Beary tried to make that move with a mile to go, and she shut it down, she set a signal, and look at her now, Paul. Still looking so relaxed, running so fast towards the finish line.
And her eyes now absolutely on the prize, though she takes another look back on the left shoulder to see where Helen O'Beary is, but Sharon Lokedi, the 31-year-old Kenyan, with all three of our top elite women on Boylston Street. O'Beary, Yahuala back there in third. Lokedi will be ushered into the finish line chute on the left side of Boylston Street and is moments away and one more look away from winning a Boston Marathon championship. It had been 26 years since a woman had won 3 in a row, and that streak will continue as the smile emerges on the face of Sharon Lokedi. She has beaten the two-time defending champion in a spirited run, the fastest run we've ever seen on the streets of Boston by an elite woman in the marathon. Sharon Lokedi meets the moment and is the Boston champion. A champion 2 times, as she will reach the podium finishing in second. She will also be under the previous course record, 2:17:22 for Sharon Lokedi, who came in with a previous personal best 6 minutes slower than what we just witnessed here in Boston. Yahuala will also break the previous course record on a day of stunning speed. The unofficial winning time, 2:17:22 for Sharon Lokedi.
She's being embraced by her coach, her agent, her team. A lot of emotion from Lokedi right now. She knows what this means. New York was no fluke. It was not beginner's luck, Paul. She is one of the greatest to ever do it, and certainly the greatest to ever do it in Boston.
I mean, Kara, can you even just immediately put this in perspective, given what we just witnessed them run in terms of time on the course in Boston? Well, gutty performances trying to stay with this hot pace as long as they did. You know, it's not a terribly warm day here, but as the temperatures rise, you know, again, another factor to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. And with a pace that hot, the temperatures really do affect you. I think that's why we saw people really paying attention to their nutrition and their fluids. But yes, it gets warmer as the day goes on, which creates another challenge.
And Here is Jess McClain of the United States in position to complete this run as the top American, finish in the top 10 as Thackeray is ahead of her in 6th position from Great Britain.
This is a great run out of Jess McClain. She finished 4th at the U.S. Olympic Marathon Trials and then 4th at the U.S. Trials in the track in the 10,000. She has just embraced the marathon, ran her first World Marathon Major in New York this fall, and now comes back for her 2nd World Marathon Major, her first Boston Marathon. Is going to finish in 7th place and a huge personal best for herself, Paul. What a run out of Jess McClain.
Frisbee of the United States also battling for a top 10 finish here, but McClain will be the top American. The American men had Connor Mantz in 4th and Clayton Young in 7th. So on this 250th anniversary of Patriots Day, the Americans have performed very well. As Annie Frisbee taking her way down Boylston Street.
Big run out of Annie Frisbee. She went with the leaders early on. She wasn't afraid to take some risks. She knew she was in great shape. So big run out of her.
Can now confirm that the official winning time, the new course record for Lochetti, was 2:17:22. Here's Thackeray finishing up. Strong performance for the athlete from Great Britain. And right behind her, looking very comfortable in these final few strides to the line, is Jess McClain, as she gets to celebrate here on home soil as the smile emerges from her and the emotion now comes rushing out as she wraps up as the top American finisher in Boston. 2:22:43 the time for McClain. Here is Annie Frisbee of the United States. As we get to our final members of the top 10, Stacey Ndiwa of Kenya, close behind, will finish in 9th.
That run out of Jess McClain, Paul. We see her there hugging Annie Frisbee. Her time tied the 4th fastest American time of all time, held by none other than Joan Benoit Samuelson. Pretty good person to match a time with. Great run out of both of these women, breakthroughs for both of these women. And Frisbee finishes becoming the 6th fastest American woman on this course. What a day for both of them.
Mary Kate Shea on the left side of the screen puts together these fabulous fields. Bocane of the United States seeing the impact of this race today. Emma Bates also in the final closing stretches here. Siga Haile Selassie of Ethiopia would finish in 10th overall. And Emma Bates enjoying the moment here. And that is really one of the special things about this particular finish. So unique and so special to have that moment, particularly as Americans. And then on to Boylston Street as well. Talked about at the beginning moments of this day that we woke up this morning to the news that Des Linden, who is now no longer looking behind at what she has accomplished in her career, is now looking forward to the next chapter in her career as she has decided to end her competitive racing in the marathon. Sarah Hall in her early 40s, also one of those long-standing members of Team USA. But let's listen in on this moment for Des Linden. One more run down Boylston Street. So many women like Emma Bates inspired by the efforts of women like Des Linden, who came to Boston on a spectacularly different weather day in 2018 and came away with arguably her most prized possession, a Boston Marathon title. So many appearances here, this being her 12th. She will continue to run. We will see her continue to inspire so many runners here, but for the moment, the final strides of her competitive career running in Boston, Des Linden of the United States.
You can see her holding in her emotion there. She has inspired the new generation, that is her husband Ryan Linden, every single American women marathoner. Look at them standing for her. All of these women will tell you, if you ask them who their favorite marathoner is, who inspired them, they will all say Des Linden, and that's what we're seeing right now. She really has been a leader in the United States, and she is so respected, and what a great way for her to go out.
What a moment for the American contingent here, all racing very strongly on this Patriots Day and honoring the last finish by Des Linden. As the chants continue, let's check in with our winner. Sharon Lokedi takes...
The days leading up to the race are my least favorite. And it's not the hours leading up to the race are my least favorite. The moment the race starts. Maybe 5K, and then I love it. I almost forgot my career.
Recover moves, we're a cruise missile on the hills. Again, keeping contact as best we can. Again, is that all you got? You know, yeah, because there will be some body blows. It's like Rocky right here, and then you just got to say, is that all you got? All you got. And as those happen, and they will happen, and whoever it is that makes the move, whether it's your teammate or whether it's some of the very talented East Africans that we're running against there, you need to be attentive to those moves.
Boston Marathon, Clayton and Young. Welcome back, Evans Chavez. And finally, from Ethiopia, Sisai Lima.
2:03:02 is the record for the course. And the fastest long-distance runners in the world make their way east to Boston, and Mark will be joining them.
But that first 0 to 6 miles, especially going down the hill, you know, it can be fast, and it's okay to run fast, and sometimes you have to run fast, and maybe run 5+ seconds or 10 seconds plus faster than what we would be running on a neutral, flat course. But you do it as easily and conservatively as possible, and you're just coasting. You've got your car in neutral, and you're just kind of rolling downhill, and you're letting the leaders take you. Like I say, we need to feel strong the entire way. We need to get the half marathon in good shape, kind of unscathed, and then be able to do the race and just have the grit over the last half, which I think we can do.
Go!
Okay, they're in good position now. The real work's going to start right here as they hit the hills.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Come on, honey.
I will cover it for 100 seconds and then I can reevaluate. I can hold for 100 seconds.
Down Boylston Street. Young just kind of lurking there, is going to try to time this. Both these men attended Brigham Young University. Good day for those group of runners from that collegiate program in the United States. Now Young coming to the inside, and this goes, hey, college allegiances aside, now Linkletter back into the lead.
This is an incredible race out of both of these men. They're both going to run well under their previous personal best and on such a difficult course. Great day, great effort from Rory Linkletter, who led a lot of the beginning of this marathon, and Clayton Young, extremely great finish from him. He had a difficult build up to Boston, but look at him now, finishing in 7th. What a run out of those two. And as you said, Paul, 3 men from BYU, 4th, 6th, 7th. It's pretty good pedigree there.
Good day. Good day.
Good day. Oh.
Oh, you fought so hard. How's your body?
My calf is so sore.
Oh, you killed it. That was 4:37 your first mile.
You know 20704.
207
guy.
You're a 207 guy.
207 guy.
Awesome. 206. Yes. Awesome, man. Way to dig. Way to keep rolling. So good. Way to be controlled. You got gap, but things happened that last 4 or 5 miles. That was awesome.
Didn't expect Rory to come back.
No, he came back great.
He
fought really well.
Left on Boylston, he said, "Let's tango." I said, "Okay." Madame-san, so good to see you.
Becky,
I'm emotional.
she was second last year. She'd probably prefer something different this year. We'll see very soon what happens.
Thank you.
Congratulations on a great performance. What's the overall feeling right now?
I'm honestly emotionally pretty drained right now. Just a lot of gratitude today. The middle of that race can be pretty scary when you're in a pack of 14, 15, I don't know how many guys looking around, and for sure there were moments when I felt like I couldn't make it. At about mile 20, you could say I was pretty broken. I ran like a 5:20, I don't know, and the pack pulled away. But it definitely was like pretty touch and go there the last 5K. Kind of feels nice to cross that line and know that I gave it everything I had, and it was a good day. It was a good day.
All right, with us now, Connor Mantz, first American to cross the finish line today. Connor, what did that feel like?
Today was difficult for sure, but it was a blast to be in Boston, competing with the best in the world. It was tough for sure. I was happy to be there with, fighting for second with about a quarter